Welcome, welcome to Cy Tell Us. I am on live TV at Status Network. Today is August 22nd, 2018. Thank you so much for tuning in. I have a treat for you today. It's all about money, 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 budgeting, budgeting, budgeting. I love talking about money and I love having money where we can buy what we want when we want. But guess what? It's all about money management and credit repairs today. Welcome to Cy Tell Us, an informative program showcasing all types of businesses in and around Atlanta, Georgia, neighborhoods and counties. I will bring you close and up front to Atlanta's own oasis of various business owners and entrepreneurs, from clothing boutiques to restaurants and everything in between. You'll be informed of their who, what, where, when, and hows, enabling you to patronize and enjoy them. Call 470-251-4343 to talk live to the showcase guest. Today's showcase guest is Cy Tell Us. It's all about Cy Tell Us today. Thank you so much for coming in. Today, Cy Tell Us, we will be discussing and coaching you on money management and credit repair. Super fun financial facts, crisp, clear financial facts. Call in live now, 470-251-4343 with your questions. You can also schedule a one-on-one consumer consultation with me or schedule my corporate interactive business presentations for your higher learning institutions to coach and educate your staff and students on lowering your school's cohort by replacing student loans on hold with forbearances and deferments with my default loan prevention Q&A PowerPoint presentations, enabling your school's continuation of Title IV funding. Let's dig in. Let's get started. And we have a caller on the phone. Caller, bear with us. Bear with us. Thanks for calling Cy Tell Us. State your name and city.
Hi, yes, this is Sigrid Maxwell calling from New York.
Yes. How are you, Sigrid?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. And what's on your mind? Are you calling in, getting ready to get all this great knowledge on credit repair and money management?
Yes, I am. I am.
Oh, great. So let's get started. And production, can we enlarge that screen just a little bit? Now, again, my name is Cy Chris with Cy Tell Us. I'm going to have to lean over a little bit so I can see this. I'm an entrepreneur with crisp, clear financial facts, financial counselor, and personal business as well. Can you hear me okay, Sigrid?
Yes, I'm actually trying to follow you on the app, and I don't see you on there.
Did you go to Cy Tell Us? Oh, now you're on the app. Did you click Live TV?
I did, and I don't see Cy Tell Us. It was on there earlier, but the only thing that I see is the upcoming show for 9 p.m. and then Thursday's lineup.
Okay, and did you also select online TV?
Yes.
Okay, and then you should be able to see Cy Tell Us after that. What production? Or you can watch it on Facebook, because we're live on Facebook.
Okay, great. So I'll try Facebook.
Okay, great. Okay, great. So as I was saying, today's presentation is all about Cy Tell Us with credit repair and money management. I'm also a financial counselor for the consumer and also for businesses. I have a BA degree in political science, public administration, with a minor in speech communication. And I have an associate degree in political science and public administration, and also one in journalism as well. Okay. Can you find it now, Secret?
I'm checking right now, so it should be.
So let me just go on to the next slide then, okay, while you're doing it. Great, hopefully you can see that. Okay, now credit management, you know what, I'm going to have to move up a little bit so I can see, because I can see, but I can't see. And I can also just read it to you as we go through the screens, and I'll come back in. Now, credit management and credit restoration and the importance of acquiring and maintaining credit worthiness. Crisp, clear financial facts. Always take care of your credit and your finances so they can take better care of you. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, give me just a minute. We're going to go.
Yes, I hear you quite well.
Oh, great. Okay.
All right. Give me just a second. All right. Go for it.
Okay, great. And so we'll just go on to there a clicker that I could use in here?
No. Give me a second. I'll work on it.
No, take it.
All right, go.
Now, the first thing I want you to remember is rule number 1. Do you prioritize your finances? And rule number 2. See rule number 1. Okay. All right, Sigrid. So do you prioritize your finances?
Yes. Oh, of course I do. I pay all of my bills on time.
Uh-huh. So what made
So
you what made you want to have well, when did you realize that you needed to really take control of your finances and things like that?
I guess when I started living on my own, years ago, I was always taught that, you must pay them, necessary, well, the important bills. They're all important, but definitely like rent, car, if I have a car, electricity, gas, water, things like that. So I've always done it. I wasn't much of a credit card holder until recently. So, I definitely have all of my bills listed in my calendar. Like when they're due, I have some bills that come out directly from my checking account monthly, so I don't have to worry about those. And rent is one of those as well. So I guess one of the things that has been difficult for me is just my student loan. So it's difficult, paying those on time. I'll get them deferred, and sometimes I've missed like a few payments. So that's been really challenging for me.
Well, that's very good. And bear with me, I'm learning a very, very technological mouse here. One moment. So I can go down to the next one. How do I go to the next one? Okay. Oh, I'll go down on the arrow. Oh, I have to click it. Bear with me for my technical difficulties. Believe me, it's all me. It's not production, it's me.
Here.
And are you right or left clicking?
This is the top.
Okay, there we go. Now, have you ever wondered how does a lender decide whether to grant you credit or not? And also, I know a lot of people feel like they say, oh, I applied for so-and-so and that representative, they just didn't like me. But actually, that's not how they do it, and it's not really up to them. A lender, for years, creditors use credit scoring systems to determine if we were a good risk for credit cards, auto loans, mortgages, things like that. But today, countless types of businesses, including insurance companies and phone companies, they observe our credit scores to determine if credit will be generated to us and what interest rate they will charge for us based upon our credit score. Okay, and one moment. Okay, and do you follow me so far, Sigrid?
Yes, I am following you.
Now, also with credit, there is what we call a high credit score and low risk. A higher credit score, 600 to 650, indicates low risk and they pay their bills on time. And that's a high credit score of 600 to 650 and plus. Now, a higher credit score also enables us to be approved for the items we are applying for and receive lower interest rates financing those items, which that in itself saves us money by paying lower interest rates due to our higher credit score. And really, one should strive to try and have a credit score really of 700 or more. And people don't realize this, but the higher your credit score, the lower your interest rate truly will be on everything you finance. It truly makes a difference. And bear with me with my technical difficulties here. Now, what is credit scoring? Now, credit scoring, it is actually it's just an analysis, a system that the creditors use to help determine whether to grant us credit or not, based upon how we do or do not pay our financial obligations. Our credit scores determine the financing terms and the rate we are offered to pay for our car loans, our credit cards, our financing, our homes, mortgage, etc., all those types of things. It really makes a difference based upon our credit score. I remember years ago when I was applying for trying to get a car financed, and I needed a cosigner. And I was so embarrassed because I had no one to co-sign me. That wasn't the reason I was embarrassed, because I didn't have anyone to co-sign me. I was just embarrassed because I needed one in the first place. So I pulled my credit report to see what was going on, and it was only a few items on there. You know, I think it was like Fingerhut and something else trivial like Sears or something like that. But what was I found to be so astounding and amazing to me is that all those creditors that I owed collectively, it was 4 of them, totaling no more than $1,200. So after I submitted those payments to them, I went back a few months later to apply for getting a car, and I'll never forget, the sales agent looked at me, then he kept looking at my credit report. And I remember that day too also well, because my son was with me, he wanted to get a car, and then a friend of mine, she was wanting to finance a car as well. So he kept looking at me and kept looking at my son, and then he was looking at, you know, the other lady as well, and then he came to me. I said, well, why are you looking at me? I paid things off on my credit report. I don't understand the dilemma. He said, ma'am, your credit is excellent. You can pick any car on this lot that you want. So I didn't see anything that I liked. I went to get a Kia Soul, but it just, you know, I'm a girly girl. It just wasn't cute enough. I said, oh, I don't want to get this. So I said, oh, well, I don't want anything. So then he ran my son's credit. They said, oh, well, you would have to have a cosigner. He said, there's no amount of money you could put down based upon your credit, unfortunately. And then he told my friend the same thing, that she had to get a cosigner as well. And I said, okay, well, that's it, because, again, you guys don't have anything here that I like, you know, so I'm leaving. He said, well, we do have this car over here, and it's used. And I was like, used? I've never bought a used car in my life. I'm not going to do that, blah, blah, blah. He said, well, we're knocking $5,000 off. I said, okay, let me see it. So I said, let me see this car. So I ended up financing that car, and I think at that time I could have gotten up to like $35,000 or $40,000 financing that day, but the used car was only like $10,000 or $12,000. And it's my Mazda 5. I'm still driving it to today. I love the car. I can name all my cars. My Mazda, her name is Sharon. She's so reliable. So then we were getting ready to leave, and I saw how down my son was looking, because he really needed a car. He was driving the chitty chitty bang bang. And I said, you know what? You guys approved me for $30-some thousand. I said, run my credit again and see if it will allow him to get a car as well. So long story short, they ran the credit again, and my son drove off in a brand new Kia Soul because he liked it, and then I drove off in my Mazda 5. And I did that based upon only showing my driver's license because, excuse me, my credit spoke for itself. So I'm saying all that to say, to let you guys know that if you don't like what your credit score is, don't believe for one moment that it has to stay that score the rest of your life. When we pay things off, that raises our credit score, that gives us better, cheaper interest rates, and we save money. So again, if you don't like what your credit score is, understand once you pay things off, your credit will be better, and you can repair your own credit. You know, you see all these commercials all the time talking about, oh, use us, we can do this to help you raise your credit. You can do it yourself. Pull your credit report from creditkarma.com, see what you owe, and I always suggest that whatever you owe the least amount of, pay them off first. It has just as much of an impact on something that if you owe thousands of dollars. And why do I say the cheapest item? Why do I say pay the cheapest item first? Because that's the money we have first. We have least amounts of money first before we have thousands of dollars. You know, if you're a normal person like me. So always understand you can raise your credit score and do better and save yourself your own money. Now, information that is gathered from our credit reports to form our credit score, they include our bill paying history, the number and type of accounts we have, whether we pay our bills by the due date, collection actions, outstanding debt, age of our accounts, and our credit scoring system awards points to our credit score for factors that predict, you know, that we are most likely to repay our debts. So always keep that in mind. How do they determine our credit score? Now, what determines the FICO credit score? Now, the majority of what's weighted against us or for us in our credit score is our payment history. I cannot stress that enough. When you owe mortgage, lights, water, gas, car note, Lane Bryant, Sears, Macy's, anyone, you want to always pay your bills on time. Always. If you know that you're not going to be able to pay a bill on time, call that creditor and ask them for a payment arrangement. Always let them know, hey, I'm going to be late. The bill is due on the 20th. I'm calling you on the 10th. I'm letting you know now that that's going to be late. Can you please waive my late fee? And a lot of times they will. Now, of course, if you're calling in every month and you're seeing that your bill is going to be late, then you could also ask them about changing your due date. But also keep in mind, sometimes when you change your due date, they can make you pay a payment and a half. So always ask questions and get clear clarity and understanding in what you're doing, when your bill is due, what your interest rates are, what the closing cycle date is even. See, that determines if you're going to be charged interest rate or not interest rates, but finance charges as well. If you don't pay a bill by the due date, and if you miss the billing cycle, if you're not using a credit card with free interest, then that interest is added on after the close of that billing cycle. So again, you always want to keep yourself aware and abreast upon your financial obligations and their due dates. Now, payment history is weighted at 35% of determining the credit score. Now, the amount of credit that we owe versus the amount of credit available, that's weighted against 30%. And what that means is, for instance, if I had $70,000 worth of credit availability for me to use, if I'm not maxing out every credit card, then that will make my credit score even higher. And make this a rule of thumb. Anytime you have a credit card, you really, if you can prevent it, you don't want to use more than 29% of that credit card's availability. Because once you use 30% or more, then that will lower your credit score as well. Because creditors want to grant us credit, but it's like it's a give-take situation. They will give us credit, but they really don't want us to max it out, because when we max out all of our credit cards, it denotes financial instability. So what I like to do when I use my credit cards, just to keep them open and keep my credit rate going very smoothly and keep my score high, is if I know I'm going to get groceries, I may put it on a credit card, and then I'll turn around and pay that credit card through my checking account. So instead of me just writing a check or using my debit card, I'll use my MasterCard, wait till it posts on my account, then a day or two later, then I'll pay that purchase from my checking. Because one thing about credit cards as well, if you don't show activity after a certain amount of time, they may close the credit card, which can lower your credit score as well. So you really want to be aware of that. Now, the length of credit history, determining how long we've had credit, that's weighted against us as well in determining our credit score, but it's not that much of a major impact. It's 15%. And then 10% each is the amount of new credit that we open and the types of credit. That's weighted only 10% each. And let me go on to this next one. Now, the credit scoring systems are complex and they vary among creditors, and the scoring models usually consider the following types of information in your credit report to help your credit scores. And they want to know if you're maxed out or not, or have you applied for new credit lately, and things like that. You can see those bullet points. Now, the Equal Credit Opportunity Act, ECOA, requires the creditor to give you notice with specific reasons you were denied credit within 60 days per your request. That's if you were ever denied credit. Now, acceptable reasons that they can deny us for credit are, let me pull this up, is if they tell you that you were denied credit because your income was low, or you haven't been employed long enough. And what they mean by that is this. If you're making, say, for instance, $70,000, you can't say, oh, I'm going to go buy a Lamborghini. They say, no, unfortunately, you know, your income doesn't justify you being able to afford buying a Lamborghini. And then also, if you just start a job Monday, you can't jump up and go say, I want to finance a house Friday. Those are acceptable reasons that they can deny us credit, okay? Now, unacceptable reasons that they can deny us credit is they cannot, they cannot deny us credit because they say you didn't meet our minimum requirements here at Sears. Sears cannot make up their own rules. Now also, they cannot deny you credit because they said, well, we did not receive enough points in their credit scoring system. Again, your credit score can only be obtained and utilized to justify you being approved or denied credit based on the FICO score alone. Not Sears credit score, not Macy's credit score, but just a true FICO credit score itself. Now, again, what if we are denied credit? We can be denied credit or insurance or be charged a higher premium because of the information in our credit report. If we are denied, the creditor or insurance company is required to provide us the name, address, and phone number of the credit reporting company that supplied that information. And you can contact that company to find out what the report said. The information is free, but you must ask for that within 60 days of being denied. You always remember that. Now, again, if you are denied credit, insurance, or didn't get the highest rate or terms you want, always ask questions. Always ask questions. Say, hey, well, I have the same credit score as Sally, and how come she had a cheaper interest rate? I don't understand that. Ask if the credit scoring system was used, and if it was, ask what characteristics or factors were used and how you can improve your application. Now, if you get the credit or insurance that you do want, ask whether you are getting the best rate and the terms available, and if you're not, again, ask why. Always ask questions, and not just pertaining to credit, anything you want clarity on and better understanding in life. Always ask questions politely and respectfully. As I say, I will discuss anything with anybody as long as it's brought to me in a respectful manner. And always be prepared for anyone's response, yes or no. Respect their answers. Now, if you are denied credit or not offered the best rate available because of inaccuracies in your credit report, be sure to dispute the inaccurate information with the credit reporting company. But again, time is of the essence. You have 60 days to ask them about that if you are denied. And now, how do you get a copy of your free credit report? There are several ways, but I have a couple of them that I like. Now, you can also visit annualcreditreport.com to get your free credit report from Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Now, with them, annualcreditreport.com, they allow you to have access to those free credit reports once a year. And I think once you log in, you only have access to that for up to 30 days. So when you're looking at the reports from annualcreditreport.com, you want to print those. Okay, always print those. Now, if you use the website creditkarma.com, you can get free credit reports and credit scores from Equifax and TransUnion. Annualcreditreport.com doesn't give the score, but when you get your credit reports from Credit Karma, Equifax, and TransUnion, it gives the scores, but it doesn't give the score for Experian. And they're pretty much the same, but you may notice that on Equifax, they may have your Discover card on there, whereas TransUnion does not. And that's with Credit Karma. Now, the credit reports include information about where you live, how you pay your bills, and whether you have been sued, whether you owe child support, if you've been arrested or filed bankruptcy. And the people say, well, why do they need to know all that? You know, when they have this private information on my credit report. Well, some employers want to pull that information. If you're trying to work around children or a daycare, they might want to know if you've been arrested for child pornography or things like that. Or if anything, if you file bankruptcy and then you're trying to work in the loan department, how can you justify that you can try and approve someone's loan or be a financial counselor and your credit is not up to par? I know the position that I had in New York when I was working in default loan prevention as a financial counselor. They pulled my credit report and I couldn't owe a student loan because I was working with students with student loans. I could owe one, but I couldn't be in default. And the reason why is because I had access to the national data loan system nationwide. I could pull up anyone's name and social and date of birth and find out how much they owed on a loan, what loan company they owed the money to, whether it was Great Lakes or Nelnet or what was the other one? I forget the name of it. A couple of those, but the point is I can pull up anyone's loan information in America. So I had to pass certain criteria as well to have access to those national records like that. And again, it makes sense if you're trying to become even a chef. Well, they might want to know you've been arrested for trying to poison someone in the last restaurant. So again, certain things in your credit report, people feel like it's an invasion of privacy. But think about it. When you want certain people around you for certain business needs, you want to know that their character is in alignment with what your needs are for the business. So I definitely understand that. Seeger, do you have any questions on that?
No, no questions as of yet.
Okay. Now, you can always contact me with my email pertaining to crisp, clear financial facts, because again, I am Cytelis, but I'm also a financial advisor and a counselor for consumers and businesses. I have the email address of crispstudentloanscreditadvisor@gmail.com. And I'm on Facebook as Crisp Clear Financial Facts. I'm on Instagram, Crisp Clear Financial Facts. And then also on Twitter, I'm CCFF, Crisp Clear. Okay, so this has been a great presentation on this one. And then I want to start one more, and this one's going to be on money management. Let me pull this one up right quick. Yeah, I loved it when I was a little girl and I would go places with my mom and would see how she would handle her financial obligations and things like that. I thought it was very empowering and it was just very educational for me to learn all the particulars of how society works and how you can make payment arrangements and what criteria must be needed just to survive in life. I learned a lot, and she would take me with her when I was in the 3rd grade. Now, again, this next PowerPoint is on financial management. Let me go down. This first one is just a repetitiveness of my credentials. Let me start this. Bear with me. Now, financial management, it's about managing and budgeting your finances. Very, very important in life. And here's my business card, Crisp Clear Financial Facts. And again, I can't stress enough. Rule number 1, do you prioritize your finances? That's rule number 1. And rule number 2, see rule number 1. Always prioritize your finances. And you know, just always be aware that when you see someone where they're always, I used to tell my students this all the time, you know how you're always trying to help out a friend and they just need a 20 here or a 50 there, or they want you to co-sign, and you know, and they're just always in a dilemma. Well, you know, unfortunately, if that's their character and pattern, they're always going to be in a dilemma. They're always going to need some type of financial assistance. And this may sound harsh or not trying to be the best little girlfriend you could be, but we're really not helping them by enabling them to not stand on their own 2 feet. One rule of thumb that I would always use when someone, and I learned this the hard way because I used to give what little pennies I had, I learned the hard way that people wouldn't always pay back. So I had to teach myself and train myself to say next time when someone would ask me for something, I would always turn around and say, would they do it for me? And then that would be the answer. Well, of course, 105% out of 104%, they would always be no. So, but I didn't want to be rude, so I wouldn't just automatically just say no immediately. I said, well, let me get back with you on that in a couple of days, and I'll get back with you. And I would just then come back and say, I'm sorry, but my budget just won't allow that. And again, these are people that always need something because they never stand on their own 2 feet, because, you know, everything worth having is hard work. And when we put in the hard work, it's really not for everyone to enjoy the fruits of our labor. Oops, let me go back. I went 1 click too many. Now, define. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I guess along the lines of budgeting, I guess one of my, I guess an area of work, I would say, is just, you know, I love to go out and, you know, for happy hour after work, or, you know, I love to go to brunch. And I guess one of my things is just, you know, spending on extracurricular activities. And so again, like all of my bills are being paid, but it's just that it's just very hard budgeting for things like that. You know, things come up whether you just want to, like you have a planned outing, or someone might say, let's meet for cocktails, and then, you know, you look up and you've gone out every day this week.
Right.
You know, so that's one of the things, the areas that I need to work on. So budgeting.
Well, where do you think you spend the most of your money?
Extracurricular activities like entertainment.
Okay. Do you see where you could curtail on a couple of those?
I could. I actually have a friend of mine. What he does is he'll allow himself $75 a week, and you know that is for if you want to get coffee in the morning, or if you want to go to cocktails, or go to, you know, dinner for the night or whatever. He only allows himself $75 a week, which is like $300 a month when you think about it. But you know, you can, after you have a few drinks, that can equal $75 in one setting. So.
Exactly. Well, he's definitely on the right track, and again, whatever one's budget is may not be the next person's budget. So never base what you need off of what they're doing, and vice versa. But literally look at a goal and set a date. of how much you want to curtail and spend. And if nothing else, first take an analysis to see what you're literally spending each month. Be yourself, don't curtail anything, and just actually add up everything you're spending on entertainment for the month so you can get a clear picture to see what you've literally spent. Then go back the next following month to make a list of what you know you're going to cut back. But then you've got to stick to it. But as I said, everything worth having is hard work, so the hard work and even budgeting is discipline.
Right.
We all have to do it. But again, his budget is their own budget. You know, a lot of people think that, oh, I'm on a budget, you know, I don't make enough, or everyone's on a budget. It's just that everyone's budget is different. Some people's budget, they can spend $20,000 a month. Some people only have $20 a week. We're all on a budget per se. You know, unless you just have unlimited supply of money on the face of the earth, and no one has that. Even the richest person, I mean, he has as much money as he has, but he doesn't have an unlimited amount of money. So a budget is what you have to work with. That's what a budget is. Now, defining a budget here on the slideshow, it identifies how you spend your money, it identifies all of your income, allows you to set accurate goals with your true financial picture in mind. And that's why I said, actually calculate what you are spending for your extracurricular activities and see what you're honestly willing to cut back on, okay? And then stick to that. But first, give yourself the analysis, make a list of what you can cut back on, and then stick to that. Now, we have what's called fixed versus discretionary expenses. There is a difference between needs and wants. Now, our fixed expenses are things that we need: rent, groceries, utilities, car insurance, haircuts, and laundry. Now, our discretionary expenses are things that we spend money on, but we literally don't need it. We don't need a fancy cell phone. We don't have to go eat at restaurants. We truly don't need cable TV, vacationing spring break in Jamaica or Hawaii. We don't have to have takeout food or designer clothes. So you see the difference in that even. Our needs and our wants, our fixed versus discretionary expenses. And again, what one determines which is discretionary, it's a need for someone else and vice versa. Everyone's life and financial situation is different, and we all prioritize things differently. So what works for Billy may not work for Sally.
Right. I guess that's another thing too, because I'm just kind of following your slides and looking at this, the discretionary expenses. You know, I do Uber quite often. You know, maybe a little too much.
Right.
And I love to travel as well. So, so this kind of, you know, this prioritizing
right.
my entertainment or extracurricular activities. So this, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but just looking at that flyer reminds me of that.
And bear with me, I'm sitting up here again. I have this high-tech mouse, and I'm just trying to get it. But you know what? Oops, let me go this way. Oh, I think I can do this too. Oh, there we go.
I guess maybe too, along the lines of budgeting, like what do you suggest? Because I do have with my current employer 401k, but I would also like to, you know, start saving money and putting money, well, continue to put money aside myself. So what do you suggest, I guess, how to continue that? Or do you have a percentage that, you know, you think that, you know, we should put away each month? Or
well, it depends on, you know, what your, you know, what type of financial situation you are in, how much money you're making. Again, look at your discretionary expenses first, because again, our fixed expenses, things that we have to spend money on, you know, mortgage, lights, water, gas, things like that, that's a must. But everything else, look at that literally to see what you know you could curtail. And then it depends. I mean, because if Billy is making $100,000 a year, but all his financial obligations equal for the year 90,000, but yet Sally's only making 30,000 a year, and her financial obligations only equal 5,000 a year because she still stays at home with her parents. Who actually has more money?
Sally,
So, exactly. So my point is, everyone's situation is different, and you have to literally, and it's always good to write things down, and then that way to see it and to keep track of it. So for me to just literally answer that, again, I would have to look at your income to see what your expenses are. And I also do that. You know, I provide budget for people. I can set you up on one of those. I offer that type of service. I know when my mom, when she said she first started saving money years ago, she was saving only $5 a month. And she said she began with that. She said, because you always want to put enough money in to where you know you're not going to touch it. She said, don't disillusion yourself. And I carry that with me as well. Always only save an amount that you know you're not going to touch. But when she was retired, and each year she would raise it and, add more to her savings. So when she retired, she was ended up saving $1,500 a month. So throughout the years, she would raise it. And she said whenever she got a raise on her job, she pretended like she didn't, So that was a good thing that helped her financially. And she just lived very financially secure in retirement. So I learned a lot of my financial, I want to say, knowledge, primarily from my mother and seeing her, navigate through her life. And we weren't rich by no means, but I definitely saw that she didn't need for anything. We didn't need for anything like that as far as, stability, food, groceries, but I really truly enjoy seeing her be so financially secure in her retirement. To net $3,000 to $4,000 a month back in the '90s in retirement, that was some good money in Oklahoma. So it's always good to just be financially secure. It really, really, truly is. So let me try and navigate this one more time. One moment. I love this mouse, though, but it's just a little.
I guess what are your thoughts also, too, because I'm looking to purchase property in the next maybe year and a half, 2 years. And, often a lot of these mortgage companies will say, oh, you can, we'll finance this home for you for like 30 or 40 years, which is, quite a long time depending on your age. And I don't want to be, 80 years old.
Well, one thing about financing a home is if you finance a home for 30 years, you've literally paid it off in 10. And most people don't realize that. So to me, I would try, if my budget would allow, is to not finance a home for more than 15 years. Because again, I never forget a girlfriend of mine. She said, "Oh, we bought this house, financed it for 30 years. Payments, the house cost $90,000, and we financed it for 30 years, and the payments at $900." And I calculated. I'm like, "Wait a minute, you said the house was $90,000, and you're paying $900 a month?" I said, "Did you realize you're gonna be paying over 300 something thousand for this house?" And she hadn't thought about that. And I thought that was so odd because she was an accountant. I'm like, how could you not multiply that? I'm getting it. I do not mind admitting what I am learning, but this mouse is aerodynamic or whatever. So let me just click down like this. Oops, here we go, messing it up again. Bear with me. Why did I move it? Oh, there we go. So always, again, as far as financing a home, if you can, I wouldn't finance it for more than 15 years. And I love the show Fixer Up and all that. And unless you just got to have a brand new house that no one's ever lived in, you don't want the spirits in there or whatever, don't be afraid of getting a Fixer Upper. But here in Georgia, they have some beautiful homes, really all over. So, and they're very affordable, so it just depends on what you really want. Now, another thing I wanted to talk on right quick is money leakage. And what we were talking about, how small expenses add up over time. Look at where you can cut back, and you'll be surprised how much money you can save. If you were to eat out dinner every Saturday night, that would equal up to $1,664 a year. A large cup of gourmet coffee per weekday, at Starbucks, that could be $910 per year. An average fast food combo meal and tax twice a week, that could save a person $587 a year. It really makes a difference. So see where you can cut back, and then that will determine, how much you can save. It really, truly will. So
what, I actually did that the other day without even knowing that's what it's called, money leakage. I usually get a coffee every morning, and it's $3. So 3 times 5 is 15, times 4. You get it, for 20 days out of the month. That is quite a bit versus,
and do you even drink all the entire coffee every time you
I do, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, at least you're enjoying it. But see, you don't have to have that coffee, Just cut back on that just one day a week, or buy you some tea bags and drink some tea. So again, it depends on how serious a person is about wanting to save and put themselves on a budget, because we can all curtail and cut back on something. We really can. Now, one thing as far as like budgeting considerations, borrowing less can have a big impact on our budget. Here's a loan, for instance. If you were to borrow $21,900 at a 6.8% and finance it over 20 years with the minimum monthly loan payment being $167.17, with those number of payments for 240 months, cumulative payments, you will have paid back $40,121.49. Total interest of paying on that is $18,221.49. So that's even something to consider. Always look at how you can save money. You can save money with that loan by not financing it as long. Now, would you like to save $16,783.42? So always ask yourself, how have you planned to budget and how much you need to borrow while you are in school? For instance, when you are pursuing your collegiate education or culinary, it's not always on the collegiate level. It could be on the level where you're going to school for a trade or anything. And also tips for saving money. We have simple strategies that help us save a little with housing, groceries, phone, transportation, banking, and taxes. In housing, I save money with my light bill. I don't leave extension cords plugged up. I only plug my microwave up when I'm using it, and then I unplug it. You won't see cords all around my house. Oh, I'm going to plug this cell phone in this room and that room, and you have all these cords plugged in. You'll be surprised at how much that can save you money. And I know a lot of people say, oh, and I unplug my coffee pot unless I'm using it. Because, again, I know I want my central air on pretty much all the time. So I'm going to leave that on all the time. But I'm not using that microwave continuously. I'm not using that coffee pot continuously. And then with groceries, I save. I'm a Walmart girl. I love Great Value. So I don't need name brand and Del Monte and all that. And then with my cell phone, before I had unlimited, I just wouldn't talk to people before it's 7 o'clock. You know, remember the old days when they said peak and off peak? I won't do it. You can text me. We can text all day. And then I was saving money with transportation in New York. Instead of buying a weekly pass for the subway, I would buy daily because I wasn't traveling on the weekend. I would normally drive as opposed to riding the subway. And then with banking and taxes, you could save money by claiming more exemptions with your employer. But when you file taxes, you can claim up to 10 exemptions with an employer, so you'll be taxed less. But when you file taxes, you put down the literal amount that you're claiming. That way you will net more with your paycheck. Now, you may have to pay a little bit more when you file taxes, but I guarantee you, if you claim 10 exemptions, that which you're saving and earning more each month will not equal the thousands of dollars they were taking out of your paycheck when you claim one. No one on the face of the earth needs to ever claim one exemption. I always claimed 10 and have been claiming 6 ever since the 90s. But when I moved to New York, I began to claim 10 because the taxes were so high. Even in my current position, I claimed 10 exemptions. And I think the past couple of years, I've had to pay $1,000 or $2,000 back in taxes, one time even 3 or 4. But that wasn't nowhere equal to what they would have taken out had I only claimed one exemption. So again, find out ways that you know that you can save money and change your lifestyle to better your financial situation. Now with credit management, we've already talked about the annual credit report where you can get a report there. And credit report facts, again, we've talked about that on the previous slideshow. Illustrate the timeline of payments, contains identity information, what's all in the credit report itself. And there are several parts of the credit report. Again, the credit inquiries, personal identification and information, public and collection items. Talked about that. And let's see, there's the information again on where you can get a credit report directly from those credit reporting consumer companies, reporting agencies, Equifax, Experian, TransUnion, and Credit Karma. And again, I always realize that knowledge is power, and the more you know, the more you will save. Credit score facts, they are a reflection of the information, again, on your credit report. The formula was developed by the Fair and Isaac Corporation, but there are many different models today. The FICO scores remain the most popular, and scores range from 300 to 850. My score is a little low to me right now, and it's about 725, but that's because I did a few balance transfers. I took some credit cards that were on interest and I transferred them to a new card that I opened. So I was saving interest. And I think the highest score I've had was 810, but my goal is to get to be 825. And again, the lower the score, the greater the risk it is to lend you money. But the only time also I want you guys to realize, the main time that you really need to be worried about what your credit score is when you want to finance something. If you know you're going to be trying to buy a house or a car within 6 or 8 months, then but between now and then, start paying things down to have those lower balances on those items, whoever you owe, those creditors, so that way come that 6 months or 9 months when you want to finance that item, your credit score will be up higher and you'll be offered a lower interest rate. And as I tell people, if you're going to stay in America, you are going to owe somebody, okay? But always use your credit wisely. And again, here is the breakdown of how the credit score is actually combined with the payment history and types of credit. And if you don't learn anything from tonight, always pay your bills on time. And if you cannot, call that creditor to ask them for a payment arrangement to let them know you're going to be late. And do not call the day of, call at least call at least a week or so in advance. Now, I want to give you one synopsis here on a couple of people who versus good credit and bad credit. Now look at Jennifer. She had a credit score of 750, and this is pertaining to their credit card. So with her credit card and her credit score being 750, they offered her an interest rate of 9.90%. Annual interest of only $792. Lifetime of interest with her credit cards, she only paid $39,600. Joseph didn't really care about his credit, so his credit score was 650. So they offered him an interest rate of 19.90%. He never cared about paying things late and things like that, so he was penalized for lifetime. He paid over $40,000 penalty, okay? And whereas Jennifer, she just had the greatest interest rate and all that. 9.9% is a lot better than 19.90. Same thing with the car loans. She only paid lifetime interest $21,166, whereas Joseph, he set up and paid $34,658, and it just goes on and on. He just never cared about, we all know these people, and sometimes we've been guilty of it ourselves when we were young and didn't know the value of credit. But he didn't care about anything. Even when he had mortgage, he ended up paying $176,000 more because, again, he didn't cherish and realize the importance of paying things in a timely manner. Combining everything with Joseph paying things late, not caring about making payment arrangements, he actually paid $298,704 more in everything he'd ever financed based upon his credit score and payment history. So you really got to be careful of that and realize that our credit score does affect us. The higher the credit score we have, the cheaper we're going to pay for items. And even when you get auto insurance now, they look at your credit score. And goodness, they always look at your credit score when you're financing a home or even moving into an apartment. So whenever you're thinking about borrowing money and things like that, always borrow smart. Always know what you owe, and it's easy to keep track of your student loans. If you have one, the subsidized Stafford loan, the unsubsidized Stafford loan, and private loans. I suggest that if you can, always take out a government loan, because I guarantee you they are the cheapest loans. When you take out a government loan, they allow you to put your loan payments on hold when you're in school or when you're having financial difficulty. When you take out a private loan through a bank, they don't care what's going on in your life, whether you graduate or not, whether you lost your job. But when you take out a government loan, they allow you to put your loan payments on hold due to income or your financial situation or lack of employment, things like that. Now, when you borrow less, you can also save money over the long run. Here's the one where you can borrow $20,000, monthly loan payment $230.16, total interest paid $7,619.31. But whereas if you borrow $10,000, you only end up paying $3,809.66 in interest. So again, the more you borrow, the more you can end up paying, but always only borrow literally what you need. And bear with me while I get this mouse one more time. There we go. And the same thing goes on. If you pay a loan off early, you save money. if you borrow $20,525 and you pay that off in 10 years, the interest at the bottom is $7,879.41. But if you take a loan, the exact amount, and pay it off in 7 years, look at the very bottom of that. You only pay back $5,328.16. So don't be afraid to pay things off early. And also, when you finance something, ask before you sign on that dotted line if there is a penalty for prepayment. Some creditors don't want you to pay them off early. Why? Because they're not going to make as much money off of you. So you always want to be made aware of that. Oh my goodness, I am really working this now, of course, because I'm almost finished. I'm proud of myself. Now, there are 4 things to remember to manage your money wisely. Track your expenses, get your credit reports, set financial goals, and stick to your financial goals, okay? And again, this is Citellus with crisp, clear financial facts. I hope you've enjoyed that presentation. And if you have any questions, always give us a call, 470-251-4343, or you can reach out to me on this email with chrisstudentloancreditadvisor@gmail.com, or also through Citellus. But always take control of your finances. And I've enjoyed you, Sigrid. Thank you so much. And I just want to tell you about our upcoming guest that's going to be on here on that September 12th. I'm so excited and so tickled pink to have him on here. And his name is Andrew Norton. He's a great author. Andrew is a New Jersey. He was raised in New Jersey, from Wake Forest University alumnus, and a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, with a track record of writing for Examiner.com. And that was March 2010 through July 2016, and other publications. He has extensive experience in the public and private sector, including his time as an educator in Gwinnett County Public Schools in Georgia. His experience ranged from serving as an advisor for Snorton Enterprises, conducting education-based work and press media services for smaller businesses, through his work with Creative Community Solutions, LLC, and community investment via his role as a board member with the Lead Foundation Incorporation, including his initiative for creating and developing reading programs via the Literacy Project, with sites in Metro Atlanta, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and Chicago, Illinois. Now, his previous first book, Deeper Than Your Deepest Sleep, Thoughts on Love with Joseph Snorton, released in January of 2017, is selected for the Mississippi Book Festival, August 2017, and the Literary Festival of Charlotte, October 2017, among other readings, signings, and events. Now, the book is a poetic rendition of conversations with his relative, Joe Snorton. Their frank, humorous, reflective look at love through the lenses of family, friends, loved ones, past and present, community, along with self-reflection via human and spiritual lenses, make it an engrossing and captivating read. Now, I'm not going to give you any more information, but you've got to tune into that segment. That's going to be Wednesday, September 12th, where I'm going to have Andrew Norton here, well-accomplished author, and he's going to be here for the whole hour. You don't want to miss that show. So thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure and tune in again September 12th. Citellus on live TV with Status Network. Call in 470-251-4343 to call in to live to speak to the guest. And also, if you want to be a guest on the show as well, call in. Thank you so much for tuning in. Sigrid, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and your questions. Very good questions. Now, be sure and stick to that budget, though.
Thank you, and thank you so much for answering my questions.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. So, bye for now. Citellus. Have a good night, everyone.